Disneyland 59. Disneyland 59, a place for people to be happy. That was the dream that put the wheels in motion a few brief years ago. Since then, it has been host to 15 million visitors, to kings and presidents, to almost 1 in every 10 Americans, to people of every race and creed. In 1954, Disneyland was just a painting on canvas. To transfer and expand this into reality took 160 acres, a site that had once been an orange grove, quiet, secluded, and unsuspecting. To build a magic kingdom in these times takes more than a magic wand. It took earth movers, scooping out lakes, canals, and broad riverbeds, paid off with enough dirt for rolling hills, knolls, and islands. Rare tropical plants for the jungles of Adventureland were sought out and brought from many parts of the world. There was a deadline to meet and no time for nature to carve out rock formations, so sculptors took over the job. Riverbeds were sealed watertight. Crafts and skills, near forgotten, were revived and put to use. Craftsmen created a Mississippi paddle wheeler, a pirate ship, a fort of hewn logs, a fairy tale castle. Down on Old Main Street, the architecture may be 19th century, but construction methods are strictly up to the minute. As the opening day of Disneyland drew near, thousands of workmen were kept on a round-the-clock schedule. Time was running out. A speed-up proclamation was issued. Men, material, and machines shifted into overdrive. Tempo was terrific. This crew could have built Rome in a day. The carpenters were on the beat. A man's got to have his lunch. Oh well, there's always the coffee break to look forward to. Only fast whistlers could whistle while they worked. After hectic weeks and Herculean labors, the deadline was kept. The dream was fulfilled. But it was a dream with a future, for Disneyland will never be completed. From the beginning, it has expanded and grown as new adventures and new ideas came into being. The Skyway was soon added as a link between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. It was a new and exciting way to see the sights from the heights. The jungles of Adventureland thrived and grew. Wild beasts were added to increase the fast-growing animal population. The tribe of natives moved in, and they've been celebrating ever since. In Frontierland, more pages out of history and legend came to life. The Columbia took her place on the Big River, a full-sized replica of the famous vessel that was the first ship to carry the American flag around the world. In Tomorrowland, that ever-changing land, old things constantly make way for the new. The old Autopia Freeway is being expanded into a new multi-level superhighway. The first modern monorail system in America is being created here, a highway in the sky. Submarines will carry passengers through the depths of the 7 seas for an adventure in liquid space. The man-made Matterhorn, with its bobsled rides and glacier skyways, is an engineering feat without parallel. Today, these new adventures are ready for their dedication. In a moment, we'll join the crowds along Main Street, USA, and meet your hosts, Walt Disney and Art Linkletter, for an on-the-spot preview of Disneyland 59.
How do you do, everyone? I'm Art Linkletter, standing right in the heart of Disneyland, in the main plaza at the head of Main Street. And we're just about to begin the ceremonies for this hour-and-a-half show, and here in the main reviewing stand are friends of Walt Disney who've come from all over the country to help in these ceremonies. Vice President of the United States, Richard Nixon, and his family. And from Hollywood, Hedda Hopper wearing a parasol. And Edward Pernay, the Consul General of Switzerland, come to see who stole the Matterhorn. And many, many others from all over the country. You'll meet them later in the program, including the admirals who are here for part of the submarine dedication ceremonies. But right now, we're all waiting for the big parade. And looking down Main Street, I see Disneyland 59 in a huge paper drum. Breaking through it, just a moment, will come the parade. Fittingly, bursting through the drum is Mickey Mouse, the little fellow who started it all so many years ago. The fellow who formed a lifelong partnership with Walt Disney and helped to start a chain reaction of happy events. Our television cameras are going to look right down Main Street, which has been built to represent how your town might have looked at the turn of the century. The Disneyland Band, directed by V.C. Walker, and man, he struts, is coming up. The marchingest band in the whole world, covering every cranny of Disneyland. They play on the river boats and covered wagons and the carousel and the jungle launches. You name it, and they're there. And so they're here for the opening of our big parade. It's a beautiful day here in Disneyland. The sun is beating down, and the parade will bring to the cameras some of the most colorful characters in Hollywood. Famous people and beautiful floats. Following the Disneyland Band is the color guard of the armed forces with the flags of the United States and California. Ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Disneyland himself, Walt Disney, having a great time with his grandchildren, Chris and Joanna. There goes the Pied Piper of America. Horse car ballet, a gay 90s dance with a gay beat, and in these old-fashioned horse-drawn streetcars, Grandma could window shop while sitting down. Doesn't look like they're going to do much sitting today. Let's see the dancers there on each side of this horse-drawn cart. That's the Elliott Brothers Band on the omnibus, while the horse car ballet takes place on each side. These are the Disneyland date nighters. They provide the beat for teenagers and all ages at Disneyland summer night dancing parties. Every night there's dancing here. Turn-of-the-century stuff, because Disneyland's Main Street is a composite of all the main streets in America way back in the late 90s and early 1900s. And there they board their horse car. Everybody gives a bow. And here they go again. There go the Elliott Brothers Band, who really blew up a storm on that one. That takes care of Main Street, and let's get to Adventureland, because each realm in Disneyland is represented to salute the new additions to the park. And as you can see, we're on safari, and Wally Bogue is the white hunter on the elephant. Incidentally, Wally is the famous entertainer of the Golden Horseshoe Show, but today he's turned in his 10-gallon cowboy hat for a safari hat. And here come the natives, jungle warriors, witch doctors, head shrinkers, and a real gorilla man, chimps, live chimps, these are. The jungle warriors behind them are carrying a dead lion on a pole. Get a load of that. This represents the Adventureland ride, where the riverboats go up the rivers of all the continents and all the jungles. That takes us through Adventureland and brings us to Frontierland, followed by a stagecoach with Richard Eastham of Tombstone Territory riding shotgun. Behind him, the silver-mounted equestrians. Look at those saddle mountings that run up to $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in solid silver plating. These are beautiful Arabians, quarter-horse Palominos, Bay Arabian horses. That's a beautiful, beautiful display. Now we see a Columbia float. Columbia was the first American ship to circumnavigate the globe in 1787, and an exact replica of this famous schooner carries passengers on Frontierland's Big River. And this is a little model of it, about 12, 14 feet long. No Frontierland would be complete without Indians, all real Indians, member of the Drum and Feather Club. Members of 16 different Indian tribes are here every day in Disneyland. And now the Golden Horseshoe float. A dance hall fight takes place there, and it's taking place right now with tough guys breaking bottles and furniture over each other's heads. The can-can girls. And they're all killed. All but the good man, of course. He outdrew them all. Now comes Alfego Baca, who is Robert Loggia and John Slaughter and other Western heroes. The lawman, John Russell. Frontier Doctor, Rex Allen. Rawhide, Clint Eastwood. Sergeant Preston of the Yukon, dressed in his bright red Royal Mounted Police uniform. And the kids are screaming their heads off. All the riders that you see on television are coming by now. Famous heroes of the West. And Zorro with his black cape and his sword. There's Sergeant Garcia, the man he always foils. And now the monorail float. This represents the rapid transit system of the future. It takes its first official run in Tomorrowland today. In fact, Vice President Richard Nixon and his family will participate in the dedication ceremony of this Skyway of the future. This float represents the monorail system that goes all over the new section of Disneyland. There it goes. An actual working model going through tunnels, climbing on its way up to the top of this beautiful float. Following that is the Matterhorn float with the bobsled coming down the steep slope. They're wearing red costumes and they look like they're all daredevils, and actually there's a tremendous bobsled ride built into the Matterhorn, 14-story high. Look at that kid enjoying the fun. San Diego Naval Training Center Band. And now, following the San Diego Diego Naval Training Center Band is the Submarine Voyage, with two men clad in deep-sea diving helmets carrying the banner, and the King Neptune riding the float with the submarine over his head. Mermaids are tossing jewelry from Davy Jones' locker to the crowd. This is another addition to Disneyland. 8 submarines carrying passengers to ocean depths, and you'll see it all dedicated in the underwater ballet in a few minutes. Now from Fantasyland, the most popular section of all for the little ones, some mounted knights carrying the banner, Robin Hood and his band, sponsored by the International Order of Foresters. Gymnasts and Disney cartoon characters from Walt Disney's cartoon family. Screen stars in their own right. Mickey Mouse, Alice in Wonderland, Pinocchio, Ferdinand the Bull, Mr. Toad's Car, the whole gang. Dumbo, the crocodile, the kangaroo, and musketeers of all sizes. What do I see down there? Meredith Wilson, would you come up here a minute? I want to hear from an expert. You're Mr. Music Man. What do you see coming up the street? What is that? Oh, no. Yeah. How many trombones? Isn't that thrilling? That's your song.
Walt Disney, when he does anything, he does it right, doesn't he? Listen to that.
Now it's time for some brand new adventures in Disneyland. And the first of these will be the launching of Walt Disney's new submarine fleet, which incidentally is the 8th largest subfleet in the world. But there's a story behind that, as there is with most of the things that Walt does. So let's see how it started.
In 1868, Jules Verne conceived an undersea craft powered by a substance beyond the wildest dreams of science, an atomic submarine called the Nautilus. The thought that men might explore the underwater world came to him long before this fact was to be accomplished. In light of recent achievements, we realize the prophetic vision of this most imaginative of all writers. For what was then looked upon as fantastic fiction is now true fact. The world's first atomic submarine, the namesake of Jules Verne's Nautilus, was launched by the United States Navy a century after he wrote 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Its most noteworthy achievement in the interests of science took place when the USS Nautilus cruised 2,000 miles under a canopy of ice to the North Pole. With the development of the atomic submarine, the vast unexplored ocean depths present a new, exciting frontier.
Now it's time for the dedication of the Disneyland submarine fleet, and here's Walt Disney.
I'd like to introduce our honored guest, Admiral Charles C. Kirkpatrick of the United States Navy.
Thank you, Walt. I'm delighted to be here for this happy occasion.
Well, Admiral, as this seems to be a nautical affair, I think it'd be appropriate if you take over, sir.
I'd be most happy to do so, Walt. As a matter of fact, the Navy has been interested in some time in Disneyland's peacetime submarine fleet. Since the launching of the first nuclear-powered submarine, the Nautilus, the Navy also has been interested in a new concept. We call it the exploration of liquid space. We believe that the resources under the seas have great potential for peace and for the benefit of all mankind, which perhaps can be accomplished by submarines. But even more important than the submarines themselves are the men. Over a century ago, Jules Verne wrote, "Out of the minds of men can come things that other men can do." I'd like to produce for you today one of these men, a man who does what other men can imagine. Chief Machinist Mate Stuart Nelson of the nuclear-powered submarine USS Nautilus, officially commended for outstanding leadership, technical competence, and devotion to duty in the first transpolar cruise in history under the sea by submarine. Chief Nelson.
Well, thank you very much, Admiral.
Walt, this is a real Navy family. I don't believe that you could put the christening of a ship in better hands or in better company.
Right
There
you
go.
are, Admiral. And Mrs. Nelson, will you honor us by christening the first submarine?
I christen Nautilus.
The sub has been loaded and is now going out for its maiden voyage after the official dedication. And now let's see what our Hallamore underwater camera is picking up below the surface.
coral reefs, you may see some of the strange inhabitants of this undersea world hiding among the seaweed and weird rock formations. Other creatures are lurking in the depths of mysterious caves, favorite hiding places for octopus, lobster, and moray eel. With the use of our exterior sonar hydrophones, we can actually hear the fish talk.
Salvage operations ahead, sir. Divers to port and starboard.
Very well. Take her down to 350 feet. Use 10-degree down angle. Flood negative. The graveyard of lost ships. Think of all the treasure that must lie in those ancient hulls.
Satellite sub crossing bow, sir.
Proceed with caution. Steer clear of mothership.
Sir, sonar shows polar ice cap dead ahead.
Very well. Continue on course to pole.
Scraping iceberg, sir.
Take her deep. Take her deep. Flood negative.
Flood negative. Aye, aye.
Uh-oh, a giant squid. Giant squid have often been mistaken for sea serpents. Such reports have persisted for centuries, but of course they have no basis in fact. Tall tales of ocean monsters should be classed as fiction, along with the myth of mermaids, a pure flight of fancy belonging to the realm of make-believe. Here, a view into the distant past, the fabulous lost continent of Atlantis. The treasures and grandeur of this ancient civilization are believed to have been submerged centuries ago by the eruption of a gigantic volcano. All ahead, full.
Aye, aye, sir. All ahead, full.
Helmsman, steer clear of those tottering columns.
Aye, aye, sir.
A sea serpent. Captain to crew, man your battle stations. Stand by for action. Spread to surface.
Standing by the surface, sir.
How about that submarine ride? Wasn't that something? I tell you, there'll be lots of youngsters whose dreams come true on that one. Well, now from the undersea lost continent of Atlantis to the freeways of Southern California is a long jump. But we can do it with Disney magic, as Walt provides a rare glimpse into the shape of things to come. Now, you're about to see the debut of a revolutionary new form of transportation, the monorail. But first, let's find out what's causing this revolution.
We are the most mobile nation in the world, over a highway system which is the most modern in existence. But cars can be built faster than the highways to take care of them. Wheels are rolling in all directions, and they're all headed for the biggest traffic jam since the wheel was invented. Where does the harassed commuter go from here? Let's take a look ahead and see what the commuter can hope for in the future. Traffic engineers agree that a monorail system could well be an answer to growing traffic congestion. In large cities where land is at a premium, an aerial monorail system needs only a narrow beamway supported by pylons. The accent is on economy. With the advent of such highways in the sky, the weary commuter will find himself traveling in speed, comfort, and safety. Tomorrow's living areas will expand as the beamways of modern monorail systems begin to crisscross metropolitan centers. But when is tomorrow? In Disneyland, a monorail system is being put into operation, and the future in transportation can be enjoyed today.
This is your spot, Walt. Take it away.
To open the first operating monorail system in America, it is our good fortune to have our friend and fellow Californian, the Vice President of the United States, Mr. Richard Nixon, and his charming family, Mrs. Pat Nixon, Julia, and Patricia, his daughters. Mr. Nixon?
Thank you very much, Walt. I want to say that this has really been one of the most exciting and interesting days that I've ever had in my life. And I'm sure that's true of all the others who are here at Disneyland to participate in these various ceremonies opening these wonderful new exhibits which we have here. I think you'll be interested to know, and I know that our television and radio listeners will be interested to know, that when my wife and I were planning this trip and talking it over with our two daughters, we asked them what they wanted to do most when they came to California. And they said, we want to see our grandmother and go to Disneyland. Now, I can tell you, however, that that is not only the case with regard to young people all over the country, but it's true of the dignitaries who come to Washington from other lands. I remember President Sukarno also wanted to come to Disneyland and has been here, as you know. The King of Belgium, the King of Morocco. From all over the world, people, whether they're adults or children, want to come to Disneyland to see America, the past, the present, and the future. And so, consequently, I just want to take this opportunity to say what a fine job we think Disneyland has been doing in letting all of us, for a brief few hours, have an interlude in our rather busy lives and to participate in a feeling about the traditions, the dreams, the hopes of this great country of ours. Now, of course, comes the time for the dedication, and although you and I, the adults up here, are probably just as interested in riding in this as the children, since this first monorail system is a system for the future, and since, of course, Disneyland is a place which children love, I think it would be nice if our two daughters, Patricia and Julie, would cut this ribbon. And if they would like to do that, we'll step back and let them do the job.
Now, you know how to cut a ribbon, don't you? Huh? Let her go.
First monorail in America. High over Tomorrowland, cruising over the motorboat ride, over some more of the autopias filled with youngsters riding their miniature cars. That's the monorail, A long step forward into the future. Today, you're seeing America's first scheduled monorail system in operation. Soon, others will follow, heralding the day when such rapid transit systems will relieve America's crowded streets and perhaps even bring back the original meaning to the word freeway. Disney goes anywhere in the world, he likes to bring back something for the park. And so when Walt was on location last year in Switzerland and saw the Matterhorn, he thought, say, that would make a nice souvenir for Disneyland. Well, there it is. Not the real mountain, of course, because even Walt couldn't bring the Matterhorn back, but he built one exactly to scale, 1/100th the original size, 14 stories high. Just like the real one, and up there on the mountain now are members of the Sierra Club actually making the first ascent. Now, this mountain is the exact replica of the Matterhorn, and right about now they'd be at what height if they were in the real Matterhorn?
They would be a little over 14,000 feet with about 500 feet to go.
Here they're 14 stories high, which is plenty scary. And now who's that going up the overhang?
I believe that is George Haar, one of the veteran climbers in the Sierra Club and a man who climbed the Matterhorn about 5 years ago from the Swiss side.
Looks like real snow. And by the way, those trees are real up and down the slopes of this small Matterhorn. They were grown up in the Rocky Mountains and brought down here and transplanted. What's he doing right now?
He's stepping in slings to make this exceedingly difficult overhang. This is probably the hardest type of climbing there is, and it really takes experts to make it. Those slings he steps in are strong nylon slings.
Oh, look at him. Oh, hang on.
But he made it. A splendid climber.
For a minute there, I didn't think...
Oh, yes. He had a good belay on him. Even if he had fallen, the rope would have caught him.
And now there they are up at the top, and they're raising the Swiss flag and the United States flag, and in a moment they'll come down in what spectacular fashion?
They're going to rappel down, and rappelling is a rather expert way of sliding down the rope using the friction over your shoulders and your back to control the speed of the descent, and using the hand also, one hand, to guide you down the mountain.
That comes down about how far?
Most rappel ropes are about 150 feet long.
And now they're going to come sliding down the mountain with great leaps and jumps with almost like a free fall.
Almost, but completely controlled and completely safe when it's in the hands of experts. And that's what these people are.
Well, now we're about to see the most thrilling and exciting spectacle of all. Mountain climbers coming down just as they do up in the mountains.
This is Chuck Wiltz, one of the most famous climbers who's made a number of first ascents, getting ready to rappel down. He's putting the rope through a carabiner. Then we'll see the rope come over his shoulder right now, and you'll see him guide his way down, just holding on with one hand. Perfectly safe, but it takes skill. He's loosening the rope right now so that it won't get caught in any pinnacles or caught in any cracks as he descends.
All right, here he comes. And right over the edge he'll go now.
There we go. It's exhilarating to do that, but it takes an expert.
Kangaroos in reverse coming down the Matterhorn. Well, the crowd here is getting a great thrill out of watching this. Translated roughly into English, that means crazy man, crazy. And why not? Disneyland is full of music and adventure and plain and fancy fun. My happy job as co-host is just about wrapped up. So I'm going to have some fun on these rides we've been talking about. Where's Walt? Oh, there he is down there with some children, naturally. So for one last official bit of business, I give you the happiest kid in the park, Walt Disney.
Disneyland was made possible by all of you. The millions have already been here, the people here today, and those we hope to see someday. So I think it's appropriate for the occasion that I ask these children from the visitors here today to help me officially open Disneyland 59 for its only purpose, the pursuit of happiness for all.